What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Chris here again in Dubai. Today I'm going to be running you through my thoughts on fasted cardio, essentially as to whether I feel like it's worth it or whether I feel like it's something that's a little bit of a myth, something you don't really need to worry about, as I feel like this is a topic that a lot of people struggle with a little bit. Okay, there's a lot of kind of information pushed out as to whether, we should be doing our cardio fasted or as to whether maybe we shouldn't. So this is my overall opinion of it. Now, what do we mean by fasted cardio to start off with? That probably would give you guys maybe a little bit of an idea of where this is going to go. So when we say fasted cardio, this is about you just getting up first thing in the morning, not having any food at all and just going and doing your cardio. So this is like a fasted state as to where our body is essentially reliant off not really any present food or any fuel that you've had in the past, 12 hours, however long you've fasted for, however long you've slept for, right? Essentially, the kind of theory behind it is that if our body has not got any readily available carbohydrates to use, which it won't, essentially, that will have been consumed in the last few hours, then we're going to tap into our fat stores more and use them more. And essentially, there is science to show that that can happen, but essentially it's not significant enough for there to be enough of an effect that really makes it worthwhile from that perspective. Like, you don't burn really more fat from doing your cardio fasted than if you were to just do it in a fed state or really at any time during the day. So there's not really any benefit from that perspective. That's kind of like where it's come from in terms of why it's become so popular. But as long as the calorie deficit is matched, essentially you still make sure that you're consuming less calories than you've burnt, then really the time that you do your cardio, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So there's kind of a little bit of a myth around it in terms of, that kind of idea and that principle as to why it would be more effective. So that's a kind of what fasted cardio is. Now I want to give you kind of my pros and my cons too around why, if I would recommend doing fasted cardio. So in terms of starting off with the pros, now I actually do fasted cardio. So again, I'm not here to say that you shouldn't do it, because I do it. I do it every morning. It's something that actually I feel like really grounds me for my day. But it's definitely something that I don't think is a bad thing to do, and I don't think it's anything that you should avoid. The first benefit to doing it in the morning is essentially just gets out the way. Okay, so we want to get things done that we don't really want to do straight away. Okay, it's that whole eat the frog mentality, which essentially means if someone told you that you have to eat the frog, like, which time of day would you want to do it? Would you want to do it in the morning or would you want to do it in the evening? Of course, you're going to want to do it in the morning, right? You get out the way. And that's essentially what we think about in terms of things like cardio. If you don't do it in the morning, you're just kind of thinking about it all day. You're like, oh God, I've got to go and do my 20-minute stepper, or even more than that, 40 minutes, whatever it is that you've got to do. And you just don't really want to do it. So if we can do something that we don't really want to do and just box it off first thing, we're not thinking about it all day. Okay, so it's a massive positive to just getting it done. It doesn't interfere with the rest of our day. We get up, we do the cardio, and then we can kind of move on and get on with the rest of things. So that's one benefit to just getting up and getting it done first thing. It gets out of the way. You don't think about it. You don't dwell on it. You don't procrastinate. You get it done, which is good. The second reason as to why I think that fasted cardio is great is because it makes you feel good. Cannot say that doing exercise does not improve the way that we feel, the way that we have energy, the more kind of willingness we've got to do things. It makes us feel incredible. So this is why I feel like doing cardio first thing is a good thing to do. Now, we don't have to do it, but essentially I've found that the benefits to feeling mentally a lot more stimulated. So this is another reason why I do it. I think it's great for routine. It's great for structure. And essentially, if we do something hard first thing in the morning, which, let's be honest, rolling out of bed and going and doing, any form of cardio, even if it's just going and doing some steps, which I probably wouldn't class as technically cardio because you're probably not getting your heart rate up to the right place, but it's still essentially movement. It's exercise. Anything like that is a good thing to do, because if we don't want to do something and we do it anyway, guess what? This is going to build up willpower. This is going to build up willingness to do things when we don't want it. It builds up that discipline muscle, which is what we really want to be thinking about. So that's why I believe, again, like, doing it first thing in the morning can work really well. Certainly isn't a miracle kind of route in terms of it's not going to make a massive difference physiologically, but I think that ability of just doing the hard thing first thing and getting it done makes you feel a lot better. I find I have a lot more energy, and actually I'm a lot more productive with my work because I've gone and done exercise first thing in the morning as well, which is why I believe it to be pretty important. The third reason why I like doing cardio fasted is because it doesn't interfere with my weight. Okay, so what I mean by that is essentially if you've got cardio to do after your weight session and you're kind of thinking about it, it's all you're thinking about when you're doing weights. It's what I used to be like, especially when I was dieting, and you maybe got a bit of a drop in energy. Some weeks you're a little bit hungry and you have to go and train, and you think, oh God, I've got to go and do 20 minutes on the stepper afterwards. I used to find I was thinking about that a lot in my weight sessions, and essentially it just made me feel a little bit, I don't know, it would damage the session, and I would maybe not quite push as hard in my weights because I'd just be thinking I've got to do my cardio, and I wouldn't quite get the same result because I was having to do the cardio afterwards. Whereas if we can split them both up, which I realize isn't going to be possible for everyone, then essentially you can give your absolute best in both of them, right? So we can give our best in our cardio because it's different. It's the thing that we're doing where we don't have to worry about doing weights as well. And then we can give our weights everything because we know that we can just go, we can recover, and we can finish our workout afterwards without having to go and get on and do the cardio too. So there's a lot of benefit to doing it for that reason too. So those are the kind of pros. In terms of some of the cons of fasted cardio, that's what I'm going to get onto now. So the first con is essentially there is no real benefit physiologically, which I've already touched on. There's no real science to prove that doing fasted cardio really makes a massive difference. It's not going to help you burn fat faster. You're not going to get in better shape quicker from doing your cardio fasting. It doesn't really make much of a difference. So I wouldn't ever do it for that particular reason. It's a complete myth. So that's the first thing. Like, don't kind of believe the pseudoscience or the bro science that you're seeing out there. Do cardio whenever suits you, because that really is the most important thing. It's about being consistent, having a routine which we can stick to. Okay, that is the one thing that I think is important. So if you're doing it because you think it's going to burn more calories, don't do it for that reason, because it's really, really not. Essentially, you want to just do it for, again, some of the things that I've just spoken about, not because it's going to physiologically make a massive difference to your physique, because it's been proven that it doesn't really do that. And I think a lot of what's pushed out now is that you need to do your cardio fasted because you're going to burn more fat. Well, essentially you're not. So don't think that doing it for that reason is important. The second reason why I think there is a little bit of a downside to doing your fasted cardio is it's not convenient for everyone. Okay, there is a barrier to entry for that. There is just this resistance to doing it. For everyone to go and do cardio fasted and then go and train later on, it's not going to happen. For most people, probably most of you watching this, like, that's not really going to happen unless you've got a piece of cardio equipment at home, or you kind of live like I do in a apartment block where you've got a gym that you can go and access. It's super convenient. It's easy. You just have to literally go down a few floors on an elevator. Then really to go to the gym twice in one day, unless you're super committed, it's quite a lot to ask for. So I'd say for most people, it's probably not really going to be necessary or realistic, you know, for you to do that. I would probably just recommend like splitting cardio days and weight days maybe a bit differently, or just doing your cardio after your weights. It's really not that much of a big deal, because convenience and consistency, that is the absolute most important thing. So if you're doing something which you think you can't be consistent with, it might feel great at the start. Yeah, man, I'm doing my cardio fasted. But if you only do that for the first 2 weeks and you fall off track, you're essentially never going to get to where you want to get to. So we want to build a consistent routine that we can do over and over again without even thinking about it. And I think for a lot of people, it's too much resistance. It's too much of a barrier to think that doing your cardio fasted, you know, is the right thing to do. And the third con I'd say probably with doing fasted cardio that essentially can impact things a little bit is the hunger. Okay, so when we do cardio, we get hungry. Okay, like, it's just natural, like with our body, like if we're putting our body under, you know, a little bit of stress in terms of exercise in a good way, we're raising our heart rate, essentially we are going to find that the hunger hormone is going to increase a little bit. So if you are looking to prolong a fast, you know, you are looking to essentially try and push food back a little bit, because that's a good tactic if you're dieting, then cardio can make things a bit more challenging. And again, it's certainly not the end of the world, because, you know, I do my cardio fasted, I train weights fasted, and I feel fine. But it's just something to consider, okay? Like, you will potentially have a bit more of a surge to eat food. It can be a little bit more challenging. Whereas if you just got up, you know, maybe had a drink, had some electrolytes, had some caffeine, you're actually probably not going to be very hungry at all, to be honest. And you'll probably be able to offset a lot of that hunger a lot easier. So it's just something to consider as to whether you know, if you're naturally a bit of a foodie, which everyone says they are, and you get very hungry in the morning and you are trying to fast, cardio or exercise, it's quite not massively intense, but just requires you to, you know, increase the heart rate a little bit. Can make things a little bit more challenging, which is something to consider. So anyway, guys, that is essentially kind of like my reasoning and essentially my opinion behind cardio fasted, and as to whether I feel like it's a good idea. It depends. It depends. Everything is about context, and everything is about people's unique situations. For some people, fasted cardio is brilliant and it works. For me, it works. It does provide a lot of convenience. There's a lot of benefits to it, and I find that's great. For some of our clients, you know, that are super busy, that have got families, that have got kids, that, you know, only get into the gym maybe 3-4 days per week, which is totally fine. For them to then go and do fasted cardio as well, it's just not realistic. So you need to look at your situation, think about whether that is something that you believe that you can do, whether it's something that you can stick to consistently. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just go for a walk in the morning. That is essentially still giving you some exercise and getting your steps in. It's not something you have to do at all. So really assess your situation, see as to whether you feel like it would work. Guess what? You don't even need to do cardio to get in good shape. I essentially recommend a little bit, but you actually don't need to. You can just do steps and still get an amazing result. So hopefully this just gives you something to consider and something to kind of reflect on a little bit, provide you with some value, and essentially, yeah, just increase the kind of knowledge as to whether you feel like it would be a good idea for you. Guys, I hope you find this video useful. I'm gonna catch you in the next video. We've got lots more fitness content that's going to be coming to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe for future videos. If you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you follow in the podcast. Make sure you drop me a 5-star review if you're finding this content useful. And as always, I'm going to catch you in the next video.